Hi everyone, welcome to UTV Guna. I got Ram from Austin Gooners with me. So really disappointing result today, losing 2-0 to Newcastle. Your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, man, I was obviously very disappointed. This was the one, right? I mean, this everything led up to this game. You know, we could, we had the opportunity, even after we lose to Spurs 3-0, very disappointing, but we kept looking like, all right, Monday, it's still in our hands. We win the last two games. Champions League football is ours, and we had to look better today and unfortunately we didn't. And I'm very disappointed. I truly thought that our boys were going to step up to the challenge and rise to the occasion, or whatever cliche you want to use. I thought they were going to get it done, and they didn't. Um, so it's really heartbreaking. I don't even like to think about all the stuff that led up to it. Like if we would have won this one, if we would have signed this person, if we would have done this, would have done that. Like all these ifs kind of just make it worse. So I kind of like to look at where we are like right now. Here's the opportunity we had and we didn't get it done. So, and that alone is enough to just like, oh, well, that sucks. Like the second guessing is going to happen. I mean, I feel like we have all summer to kind of like think about what if, and then when the Amazon series comes out, we'll see everything. And I'm sure regardless of how the future turns out, we're always going to end up watching that series and just being like, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? But for now, like, that's not even necessary to kind of like just kind of take into what happened today. Straight up, it's disappointing, man. It's the sad part of sport, right?
Yeah,
makes yeah, sucks.
it's a really sad day for us. So looking at Arteta's tactics today in the starting lineup, what did you make of him?
I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, man. I was really excited to see Tomiyasu, Ben White, Gabriel, and Tavares. I felt like Tavares and Tomiyasu kind of have a synergy kind of going. I mean, I know we haven't seen a ton of gameplay between with those two guys on the field on the pitch, but like they have something, right? They anchor each other or whatever. Um, and then I just feel like overall those were our four best defenders. Um, so I felt good about the starting lineup. And to be honest, I mean, as much as Newcastle had the ball and dominated, like I thought we did pretty well for the most part the first 50 minutes of the game, keeping them from scoring. I mean, I think even at halftime, they only had like one big chance and we had nothing, but we played well enough to keep it at 0-0. I think where it turned, obviously, like own goal, that the own goal sucked. And then, it was Ben White who was in there. But I also saw early on, like, I just don't think anybody back there was 100%. Ben White, Gabriel, maybe not even Tomiyasu. Tomiyasu had to come off injured. I doubt he even ends up playing again this season. Um, so yeah, I think it was just a result of just, yeah, we did have our four best defenders out there, but I just think we got out. I think we just ran out of juice, man. I don't think we did anything wrong, tactics wise. I would have preferred to see Martinelli out there to start. This has been something I've been noticing ever since Emil Smith Rowe got COVID, but ever since he recovered, he hasn't been the same player. And I don't know if it's fitness or if it's just confidence, or it's just maybe he's still suffering some ill effects, which would tie into the fitness factor. But he just hasn't looked right for a long time. I mean, good in spells. I mean, he had a great goal against Chelsea. But if anything, I would have preferred to see Martinelli out there just because he does provide a little bit more spark right now. But then, even then, like we couldn't even string 5-10 passes together to even get it to our attackers. So ultimately, that just really didn't even matter who was starting out there. I think it was just what do they call it, a war of attrition. Like our boys just ran out of juice, and Newcastle wanted it more. And then that was the first goal. And then the second goal, you could just chalk that up to, well, I mean, when it rains, it pours, right? I don't think we did anything wrong. I don't think we did anything spectacular. It's just they kept the fire on us, and they just kept pounding at us, and they deserved a 2-0 win in my eyes. But I thought we had the proper team out there. I don't think we did it. I don't think we would have had any other combination that would have yielded a better result.
Okay, so it's difficult to put it down to one thing, but looking at the performance today, what would you say is a result of the lack of experience, the lack of squad depth, the pressure of the occasion got to the players? What do you think?
I would say all of the above. I think the most important factor, I think, is the lack of experience. We've got a lot of youth on this team. A lot of them haven't played in games of these high stakes before. The only one I can really think of is maybe Bukayo Saka, who played in the final not long ago. But he also had the benefit of having more senior players on that squad to kind of keep his head level. So if he's one of the younger guys and has the most big game experience, I mean, it's not going to bode well, man. I mean, I don't think. Yeah, honestly, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, and I mean, he might have the most big game experience. Everybody else, I mean, and this, I was even saying this at the pub earlier. Like, sure, you can look at it on the lens like, hey, we're Arsenal. We have this history. We're supposed to step up in these games like this and perform. But like that doesn't necessarily mean a lot to like the players on the field, especially if they're as young as the ones that we have are. Like, sure, they've seen it on TV. I'm sure, they were young enough or old enough to see Arsenal, do big things when it mattered. But it's one thing to watch it and then one thing to actually be in a position to do it. And yeah, for a lot of these guys, I think they just never have been in that position. And then I think you have to tie into that squad depth as well. Like, I mean, we had Ben White and Gabriel both playing with bad hamstrings. If we had better, you would like to think if we had better depth, like we'd be able to cover for those guys and like play somebody else, right? But then you think about maybe the guys that we let go, and who would we really even rely on to like step up, right? For in the defensive end, for example. Like, let's just kind of deep dive into that like super quick. But like, I don't think Kolasinac is going to be a guy we're going to be like, oh shit, like let's put him in there and we feel good about it, So, I knew it was a gamble, especially like a lot of people are going to look back to January and say like, oh, if we signed somebody, if we did this, if we did that. But I just don't think we could have brought anybody in to like that. That's part of the double-edged sword, right? We are lacking squad depth, and I think that is a factor. But I don't think there was anybody who was going to raise that level and eventually be somebody that we could rely on for games down the stretch. Maybe we could have brought in a couple people to kind of like boost the numbers on the squad, or just to make the headlines. But like, I honestly, who would we have? Let's say we didn't get rid of anybody in the January window. Like, who would have stepped in and done a better job than Ben White or Gabriel today? Like, yeah, we just don't have the depth to do it. Like, and then the people that we do have, I mean, we have Eddie Nketiah up top, who is probably a championship league footballer who hasn't got a ton of starts, who's played well. But I mean, we have Eddie Nketiah, we got Mohamed El-Neni. Like, as much as I love him, like, he's not that guy to elevate the squad, right? We're missing Thomas. Like, yeah, I just think, yeah, we have no firepower, overall. Like, Eddie Nketiah is good, but I mean, I don't know, like he just wasn't good enough today. I'm just going to factor it on that. The main factor, I think, is just we don't have the experience, and it just looked like every we were playing so uptight that Newcastle looked like the team that was fighting for a fourth spot, and we looked like the team that was just happy to not be relegated. Um, and I don't think that our players were happy where they were. I don't think they didn't lack the motivation. I don't think they were. I just think they weren't ready, and it was just that occasion, like I mentioned, bringing up like when we played at Manchester United earlier in the season at Old Trafford. So it's like, oh wow, like this is a big occasion. On paper, this is a big deal, but we could have totally beat that team, and we ended up like losing a back and forth that shouldn't have even been that close. In my opinion, still, like I feel like that's still one of our more crucial losses. And then also Nottingham Forest, like it just that team, our opponent rose to the occasion and we did not. And I don't think it has anything to do with our players not wanting it, because our players brought us to this point. But we just, when the lights are brightest, you kind of find out what you have, and what we have right now is not championship worthy or Champions League worthy squad right now. And that's reality, man. I feel ultimately like we have overachieved all year. And I think it was great that we were in a position for top four. But right now we're in fifth place, and I think that's about right what we deserve, for better or for worse. Obviously, it's not as good, not good enough, but yeah, experience I think ultimately is what we have to chalk up as what cost us today, or what cost us Champions League next year.
Okay, so obviously it's hard to say this right now. There is a mathematical chance we can still qualify for the Champions League. It's extremely unlikely. We know, as Tottenham's last game of the season is Norwich, who are bottom of the table, already relegated. But it's football, anything can happen. So what's your thoughts going into the last weekend of the season? Do you see any way that Norwich can do us that favor? Come on, Norwich, please.
Yeah,
But
come on, Norwich. I'm ever the optimist, but I'm a little bit more realistic than an optimist. I don't think Norwich is going to come through for us. I hope I'm wrong, but I think I looked something up right now. Somebody told me, but that Norwich hasn't scored a goal in their last 5 games or something like that, or like in a month, which is probably 5 games. But yeah, Norwich is terrible. I don't think so. I think it's done. I could be wrong, and Norwich could surprise Spurs. Maybe Spurs take it a little easy, and this is totally something that they would do. But they also have a good coach on their sideline as well, who has experience. And I think that's what separates us right down the stretch, is at least there's some experience, so he can lean into that. He can transmit that to the players. Or we don't have experience, and so honestly, I mean, we would have to win that game for it to benefit from it. And right now, I'm not even so sure. I mean, maybe in a couple days when we speak again, like I'll feel like, oh yeah, you know what, like reports out of training, like we're looking good. But yeah, past 2 games were the time to do it, and we didn't do it. I'm gonna say, never say never, but I'm gonna give us like a less than 5% chance. But it's still there. I'm still gonna watch on Sunday. I'm still gonna be at the pub with the boys, but I've pretty much accepted the fact that Europa League, man. But I could be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong.